Alright everyone, welcome back. Got a bit of a weird one today. What I got here is an Olympus Pen 8 EE. Now this is a 8mm cinema camera, or a movie camera. Not a Super 8, but just a regular 8, standard 8, double 8, whatever you want to call it. It's all the same thing. So I picked this one up on eBay for about 60 bucks because it's a paradox of a camera where it's both reasonably priced but also pretty uncommon. You don't see these very often. My guess is they weren't made very long, or they just weren't exported to the US market. But there's a couple of variants of this. They either have it in this beige color or a black, or maybe it's a green, I don't know, the pictures are hard to tell. And the other variant is if it has a zoom lens or just a fixed lens. This one is the zoom lens. But it's a pretty interesting camera, and I wouldn't really consider making a video for it, except for the fact that there's no information on this online. And when you do find it, it's very sparse and not a whole lot is there anymore. There's a lot of link rot that's claimed all these old sites that housed information for this sort of thing. So I'm just kind of figuring this thing out as I go. There was a manual I found on eBay, but they wanted like $50 for it, and that's a bit too much. So from what I understand on this, it is in, like I said, an electronically aperture controlled cinema camera, and since there's no winding lever on it, that means it runs on AA batteries. If I can get this cover open. This battery cover is pretty tight on this. So it's got 4 AA batteries and then one smaller battery to power the light meter on here. I couldn't find any information on what battery it takes, so I scoured the internet, couldn't find anything, and what I'm assuming is it's like all the other cameras back in the day that use these 1.35 volt mercury cell batteries, but mercury cells haven't been manufactured in a long time, so you can get these wine cell 1.35 mercury cell replacements. I'm sure there's other batteries that can fit in there, but a lot of those are 1.5 volts, and you want to have the right voltage for your light meter, otherwise it's going to give you an erroneous reading, which is fine. You can compensate for that by adjusting your ISO setting if you can, or if you have one, but I don't like doing that because you kind of have to waste a roll of film to find out what setting is correct on that. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's one of these 1.35 volt cells, and there's no cover for this little battery cell in here. It appears to just be held down by these AA's that go on top of it. So as I said, the battery compartment is a bit snug on this, but at least the contacts are clean. Whoever had it did me a solid and took the batteries out before they put it in storage for a decade or two. Now, so as you can see by our aperture setting, it does in fact react to light, which is good. And it also has this run lock feature, so if you put it on run lock, it disables the light meter, which is a very handy feature. I don't appreciate having my batteries die just by having it in the camera, but also run lock, as you would expect, disables the shutter mechanism on it. So it runs pretty smooth. I took a gander at it earlier and checked behind the film gate and saw that it was in fact moving the shutter as intended. So I was going to run some film through it and give it a shakedown run. I figured I'd give it a try with this Cine 8 from Film Photography Project. It's a daylight film. It's a color reversal. It's just Ektachrome that's been cut into 8mm. I'm a bit hesitant to use it because of the whole issue with Kodak not wanting to sell to consumers anymore. They want to sell motion picture film to motion picture companies. But anyway, you get this little ISO guide if you don't have an automatic aperture control. So let's see what we got. We got our 8mm movie film. And we're just gonna open our shutter gate there and follow the diagram on the camera body. So it goes up and over this one, and through our film gate, and then out. Close this. Not a very big fan of this particular spool because it has this odd cutout in it. It's got a weird shaped slot to accept the film. I'll feed myself a little bit more. And that at least verifies that the mechanism is in fact transporting the film correctly. So, okay. So on this one, every time you open the film door, it resets the film counter. So we're at start right now. We're going to run this until it gets to the loaded indicator. Which I presume is 0 feet. We'll engage the shutter lock. And since this is a daylight balance film, I don't need this tungsten filter on it. Kind of dates this thing back when they were still using predominantly tungsten film, so I'll let you guys know how this thing goes. Maybe I'll stitch the film at the end of the video when I get it back. But anyway, that's a quick little video on the Olympus Pen 8 electric eye. Thanks for watching, guys. Catch y'all in the next one.